So I'm in the middle of taking apart the G40 and reviewing the parts again, which I'm going to begin painting. But before I do that, there are certain parts that I have not finished sanding, which I need to cover up or take care of. One notably, of course, I need to take care of the V-fin of the head. And I'm going to need my tray, because there are small parts here that I do not want to lose. Put that there. Let me just put these here for now, because I'll cover those in a minute. However, the most notable problem that I've noticed, and you guys have probably noticed as well, is the arms. Is the fact that even though this is actually a very unique part that connects like that and does this little swivel thing, let's not ignore the fact that there's a seam line here. And there's a seam line here. Clearly this guy had a great idea, good concept idea, and you have to give him credit for that. But as a modeler, as someone who's engineering this, somebody should have had the foresight of figuring this out. Yeah, this would have been somewhat of a fix where maybe instead of these two parts putting together, make it like let's say this is like completed and you have half a part here going up, you have a hole, then you have a little peg there that goes right in the hole, and then you have some sort of clamp or something that connects to it, like maybe two pieces of plastic connecting together, and then you have a cover that goes over it. That would have been logical, the seam lines here on the edges, but maybe because of how small the arms is, they couldn't figure that out. So that is a challenge. I'm going to glue these two parts right now. I'm going to use a product I haven't had the opportunity to try, the Mr. Cement SPB. It's basically it's glue, but it's black, which allows me to see, hold on a second, allows me to see where I'm putting this on, and then that way I can close it up. I don't have to worry about the other side. It's this side that I need to worry about. And then we just squeeze that together. Now the whole purpose of it being a black glue is that way when it dries up and you start sanding it down, the black will disappear, and that way you'll see a nice smooth surface. So that takes care of that. On the other hand, we need to figure this out. And the only thing I can think of that we can probably get away with is make our own custom seam line. And for that, I'm going to put my knife in an angle. This angle will be perfect. And slowly drag it over the part. Let me just take this off, it'll be a lot easier for me. Now, even though there's the seam line here to here, you have the corner. This can be a seam line, that's understandable right there. Sorry, panel line. But this cannot be, this has to be adhered. So what I'm going to do is once I finish sanding this down, and I'm going to do the other one to the other arm, when I glue these two parts together, I'm going to mask that off so I can glue this part, and then using the sanding sticks, sand the edges down. Let me do this side now. Yeah, there's actually no... I mean, I could probably wait until it dries and then glue that on, but I'm going to do it this way. Plus, I have not done this in a while. This is a 1000 grit sanding stick, so this should smooth it out a bit. Let me do the other side and see how, that way we can do a comparison. It's a lot easier because you don't have the pegs bothering you. Okay. See? I'll just got to get that little part there. Alright, there's a little bit leftover things, but I can sand this down. So there. Easy peasy. Like I said, once I glue these two parts together, I will glue that area here and here, and then take the sanding stick to sand it out, because I'm actually want to mask this entire section off so I can paint it a different color tone. So that shouldn't be a problem. Let's look at the other parts. Because somebody told me there's a problem with the leg, and I don't see that here. These two parts is easy to sand, because it will go over the thigh. Ah, come on, get in there. And you have this nonsense, of course. This one I gotta remove. Come on, get out. Yeah, there's no seam line on the side here. It's all, I mean, on the front. It's all on the side, so it's no big deal. This one's already locked into place. And I have to remove, actually, you know what, I do have to remove it because there's some parts here that I did not, excuse me, I did not sand down. Oh, come on, get out. It wasn't that difficult. Or was it, oh, you know, I gotta take off the sides, that's why. There we go. Yeah, because there's a curvature here. This can be a seam line too. So doing the same process, just going like this, slow. Take your time on this, don't rush it. Just, this will bring out the kit a little bit better. I can imagine there's somebody out there who's painstakingly gluing these two parts together and you know, sanding it down. But like something like this, I mean, is that a seam? I think that's a panel line right there. That's part of the design. And there's nothing here but that little part. So you could either wipe it out, that panel line, when you're sanding it down, or you do this and integrate that panel line there, but you're probably going to need the scribing tool to bring it out a bit. So you see, you got a panel line right there. That's perfect. That's fine. That's good. So let me continue on. I don't think there's going to be any gluing with the legs. The legs is easy to assemble with no problem. It's the arms that I'm definitely need to try to be a little patient with. And we'll continue there. All right. Give me a few moments while I continue cleaning up before I begin the painting assembly. Finally got all the parts cleaned up, as you can see here. All the whites are here. All the darker color, like the darker blue and the charcoal parts here. All the blues, the yellows, and the reds, and of course the smaller ones that I cannot put on clips, I put them here on my reversible tape. Make sure everything is all cleaned. I'm going to double check a few things here. I think I missed something, but I'm not 100% sure. I removed the tape from the eyes right here because I'm thinking what I was actually thinking of doing. Well, hand painting it would probably be easy to do. But how would I do this? Because I don't think I have any enamel for reverse wash. Let me see if I remember the steps. I would have to put on the lacquer-based color over it, and then the enamel-based color over it to wipe out the enamel so that the lacquer doesn't show up. But I don't have the colors for that, so I'm going to have to end up hand painting those eyes that you see right there. I'm going to probably do some change-ups here with the thrusters. I think I'm changing it to a different color. Don't know yet. I spent a lot of time working on these. So I'm going to actually show you this. Let me just zoom in. So I sanded this down as best as I can, and using a sticky tack, I put it right over it, peel it out to see if there's any slashes, anything going inside. I do it more than once to make sure. And as you could see, and I don't know if you guys can see it, there's no line there. I did the seam line here, and putting it here like that. I'm actually going to do both ends. I'm going to show you something here. So there's the seam line that I made, but at the end you see there's no seam line there. That's because I actually sanded this down using the Mr. Cement SPB glue to seal it up. I started sanding it down, and interestingly enough, even though this is kind of like a dye, this dye actually bleeds into the plastic. So you think when you start sanding it down, you think, oh man, I haven't got it. Trust me, don't go crazy. Sand it down as best as you can, review it with a tack, feel it with your finger or with your nail, and if it's smooth, don't go any further. The last thing you want to do is, the last thing you do not want to do is warp out the plastic, because then you end up making the mistake. And I did the same thing over here. Let me see. And there's nothing there as well. So that was easy and tough. A lot of work there. I also did the seam lines for the legs, as you can see, and that's perfect. I don't know, you know what, I'm sorry. So that's for that part of the leg, and then that is this part of the leg. By the way, this little panel line is so faded in, even if I try to try to, how can I say this? I'm kind of drawing blanks here. Even if I try to describe it, it won't matter. It wouldn't matter for that. I'm actually going to sand it a little bit here to buff it out. Oh my god, it's kind of hard to do that like that. I'm using a finer grit sponge, so that way it's nice and smooth. Also remove whatever particles. And then I use the scribing tool to dig in and clean out whatever is there. Of course, I could use a brush. Look, just a little brush right there to remove whatever particles. All right, so there we go. That part is done. This guy is done. So these two are ready. Don't have to do anything on the calf. So let me just get my paints ready here. So I got the blue, that's taken care of for that. I got the, where's my red? Oh, there it is. Here's the red. It's nice shiny red. So the Mr. Finisher red. The yellow is right here. So I got the red, yellow, and blue. Then I'm going to use GNX1. Remember, this is two-tone, and I think I'm going to darken it up a bit. I think I'm going to use 325. Maybe that's a little too dark. I'll use this one. This is the US UG01 MS White. This has a different color tone than this. The Titan's Blue 1 for the darker tones. For the lighter tones in the weaponry, I'll use Zeonic MS Gray, just to get that ready. Also, I'm going to see how I'm going to see how I can do a wash. Not a wash, I'm sorry. Okay, so let me rephrase that. I do want to weather this guy, but I want to do it right, and I have been doing a tremendous amount of research on weathering because I have a lot of the Mr. Weathering products. I have the ground brown, and that's actually good for like certain areas, like on the feet or anything like that, for the ground texture. We have the multi black. This is the paint that I've seen a lot of people use to do its own panel lining. You could use this for panel lining. Just apply it on the entire part of the kit after painting, wait until it dries a little bit, then using the solvent, which is not within arm's reach, there we go, to remove the excess. So that's for this. Then I've been trying to find research on these two guys, Mr. Weathering Multi-White, which I believe I saw somebody use this on the blue part, and that gave it a stain-like look to it. That and Multi-Gray. Multi-Gray will probably be good for the darker parts, while the Multi-White will be probably good for the white and the red, and maybe the yellow. And I'm going to try a chipping effect using a sponge. Okay, so you really don't need to buy a sponge for this. If you have one of those, if you ever go to a dollar store and get one of those little kitchen erasers, the ones that you use to wipe off whatever gunk that's on a table or on a stove or anything like that, just removing pieces of it and then dabbing it in a little bit of paint. I've seen a lot of people do this. A good example, Jordan. He did it when he did his diorama kits. He did something like that, and I really wanted to repeat something like that. Never seemed to have the courage to do it. I'm going to see if I can try it now with this. Alright, with that being said, let me clean up the table and begin priming and painting this guy, and let's see where we go with this.